Welcome to the Finding Joy in the Journey podcast. This is Sheridan Ripley from Enjoy Life. I'm a wife and a mother of 3 boys, ranging from 22 down to 14. I'm an author of 5.5 books. I love teaching online classes, and I also enjoy one-on-one coaching. I'm excited you join me here as I share some tips and tools to help you find joy in your journey through life. Today, I'm going to be talking about the power of curiosity, courage, and neutrality. In the last episode, I talked about the vibrational scale and how words, feelings, thoughts, even things and places have different vibrations, from really high vibrations like acceptance and love to low vibrations like shame and pride. So today, I'm going to talk about the power of the middle of that scale. First, we need to be aware of where we are in our vibrations on this scale. So naming where you are at the moment helps you then choose where you want to go. Awareness is always that first step. I like to think of it as like you're walking through the woods and there's a path that you always take to go to where you usually go to. But there's also a staircase that can get you to the same place, but you never really see that because you just always take the path. When we become aware that there is a staircase and we pause, then we actually have a choice. Before we're aware, we're stuck. We just always go the same way. So it's the same with these vibrational energies of the high ones or the low ones. If we're swirling around in these lower vibrations, like pride and fear and anger, and we're not aware of it, then it's really hard to change. That's why hopefully in the past week, you've been noticing where you are on this scale. When we're in the higher vibrations, we have more joy. That's why being aware and trying to move up that scale helps us to find more joy in our journey, regardless of what's going on around us. I used to always try and help people get to the higher vibrations. And what I learned is that that's not always easy. Sometimes it's actually good to be in the middle, and there's a lot of power in that. The middle emotions are neutral, curious, and courage. They're smack dab in the middle of that vibrational word chart. They are a stepping stone to these higher vibrations that we want to get to, but maybe we can't get to right away. Let's use an example that I always like to use. If my husband doesn't do the dishes, I may tend to be in those lower vibrations of judgment, frustration, anger. And I like to look at things as there's 2 platforms we can be on. One is Satan's platform, which is one of pride and isolation. This is where I tend to go to if my husband doesn't do the dishes. I'm prideful, I'm judgmental, and I isolate from him or try and isolate him. I might use shame, some other things that maybe aren't connected to dishes, but that are on that platform would be fear. This would work. Expectations and disappointment. That's definitely on that platform. Enmity and anger. Bigger ones might be despair or feeling stuck. For me, anytime my mind is going to isolation or pride, then I know it's definitely not coming from God. The other platform is God's platform, and this is a platform of love and unity, where there's acceptance, charity, we have gratitude. It does require vulnerability to go to this place, especially if signs point to it's true, he didn't do the dishes. So I have to be vulnerable and be aware, humble, right? There's awareness there. It gives us hope and options. And I like to think that this unity and love, if I can't get it from other humans, then I can always pray and reach out to God, that I can always feel love and connection with Him. So these 2 platforms are a great way to see where am I on this scale and where am I in making progress to where I want to go. Neutrality is that bridge from pride and isolation over to love and unity. And neutrality can actually be a really great place to be about certain things. I might never be grateful that my husband didn't do the dishes, but I can be neutral about it. And that is a better place to be, I think, because it's easier for me to handle the situation with grace when I'm in a neutral place. In some things, obviously, we can get up to gratitude, but it's okay if we don't for some things. So I just want you to see that neutrality is a very safe place and a very good place to be sometimes if going all the way up to love and unity seems too challenging. So how do I get to neutral? One of the things I like to do is pray for courage. I need courage to go to neutral on many topics. And praying and asking God to help me have courage then helps me to try and shift to that neutral place. I also love being curious. When I can step back and ask questions about that situation, then it opens me up to seeing things from a different perspective. So if I could say, I'm curious why he didn't do the dishes. That's a completely different energy than just being like, I can't believe he didn't do the dishes again. It sometimes takes me courage to go there, or I should probably put humility in that middle section too, would probably be good, because that's kind of it helps us when we have humility to get to neutral. But courage definitely is a step. And then curiosity, I think for me, is the key to getting to there. And then I like to ask the question, how would it feel to feel neutral about this situation? And then I just kind of let myself feel it. And if even for a moment I feel a little bit of neutrality, it opens up that possibility to exist in my mind and my body. It also feels better than those lower vibrations. And so it makes me want to go there. It makes me want to do the work to get to neutral. So when I have a situation, especially when I'm noticing that I'm in those lower vibrations, I like to check and think, which platform am I on? Am I one of pride and isolation? Am I ignoring the situation or judging? Do I have enmity and anger about it? Am I disappointed? Do I want shame myself or shame others? Am I feeling fear or despair? Am I feeling stuck in this situation? Then I know that there's room for improvement, I guess, or there's room to move up, and I can work towards shifting to neutrality. And once I'm there, it's easier to step up to that love and unity side where I'm listening, where I'm accepting the other person's point of view, where I can have charity, the love of Christ coming through me, where I can feel gratitude. And yes, it does take that vulnerability to go there, and the willingness, the humility to do that. And awareness, that's really probably the first thing I should have talked about, right? Was this awareness is so important. Being in neutrality gives us more space for that awareness, and then to move up to hope and having those options. I really feel like love and communication, love for ourselves and others, communicating with ourselves and others, are key to better understanding not only ourselves but other people. And that is what can lead to that neutrality, which helps us to have more options and greater hope and greater joy because we're in those higher vibrations. For this week, I want you to try going to neutral. Think of a topic or a situation that you may struggle with being neutral about right this minute. Like your husband forgetting to do the dishes, or, kids, a certain child giving you a hard time. Anything really that that might come up this week. And think about it, maybe write it down and pray for courage to be neutral about that situation. Think about it ahead of time. Be curious. What's a good question you could ask that would bring you to curiosity when it happens? Like, that's interesting that he chose that. I wonder why. And think, how would it feel to feel neutral about this situation? And allow yourself to feel a little bit of that neutrality. And then I always like to think of like a sample script I can use in the moment. Because if I can plan it ahead of time, then I'm more likely to use it and then have success in getting to neutral. So me planning ahead to like thinking, that's curious he didn't do the dishes. And maybe I could also add, I love him no matter what. A simple script that I can use to bring me to that neutral bridge. And I might practice it a few times in my mind. I call that drilling. So I might drill it a few times before it actually even happens, so that when it does happen, I can put it into action. So go ahead and think of your situation. Pray for courage to be neutral about it. Be curious about it. Think about how it would feel to feel neutral about it, and think of a sample script you can use when that situation arises, and then use it. And I'd love to hear, did it help? What was helpful? What wasn't? And remember, it might take a few times of practice before you actually are able to get to that neutral position. And that's okay. Be kind to yourself. Be neutral about yourself changing. Want it and be kind to yourself, and aware that it might take time to make changes. This week, I want to let you know that if you go to the show notes, you can get a copy of my vibrational chart that you can print off and hang up somewhere, so that you can see where you are on that scale and be more aware, so that you can make lasting changes. I'd love it if you would share this episode and leave a good review. And I'm so grateful that you joined me here today, so you can find more joy in your journey. Enjoy!